What is going on, everyone? Welcome into the Brea Partial Show. So who are some guys that should be on the Lions' radar to draft this year? Some of the top guys: Kool-Aid McKinstry, cornerback from Alabama. Kamari Lassiter, I've seen him a common guy in the mock drafts. I know the mock drafts aren't always super accurate of who they're going to take. It's just kind of a gauge. Lassiter, he's an interesting guy because he's one of those guys where, like, you'll see him in some first rounds, but I think ideally he's like a second, third round guy, maybe even later. I just don't. Lassiter, I think he's a good player, but I think he's more of it's kind of like the stars trying to align with him, with the way people rate him, meaning, high recruit, played at Georgia, won a couple national championships, played well, so you just assume, he could be a late first round. But when you watch his tape, I think he's limited from a movement skills perspective. But, some other guys the Lions could take, Nate Wiggins, corner out of Clemson, Quinyon Mitchell, corner out of Toledo, Terrion Arnold, cornerback from Alabama, Braylon Trice, edge rusher from Washington. Now, Braylon Trice is, I think most people would not have him as their consensus number one edge rusher, but I do. At this point in time, I'd say, Jared Verse, it's either him or Jared Verse, but I think Braylon Trice is kind of the forgotten about guy, the edge rusher. When people, like, if you probably tune into SportsCenter, if you tune into some of the top experts, they more so have Jared Verse and Dallas Turner from Alabama as the top two edge rushers. Braylon Trice kind of like maybe the consensus number 3, 4 edge rusher right now, but I think he has a strong case to be the number one guy, and I think he'd be a perfect fit in Detroit. This is a guy that can rush the passer, but he's good against the run, big, strong, just hard to move back. I think he'd be an excellent complement to Aiden Hutchinson and be a really strong focal piece for the Lions defense, a Lions defense that really made more of an emphasis on stopping the run. So you get a guy that not only can rush the passer, but it is good against the run. I think that's just it's a pitcher perfect fit for the Lions. So Kool-Aid McKinstry, a guy that I would hope the Lions would get, but a guy that the Lions probably are most likely going to have to trade up to get. And then Braylon Trice, like for the reasons I mentioned, I think is just a really good fit with the skill set he brings and just the how good he is against the run. I think he will bring that dimension to the Detroit Lions defense. Cooper DeJean, too, from Iowa, a guy that's, is he a corner? Is he a safety? That's going to be kind of the ongoing debate. We'll see how he tests at the combine. If he runs a super fast time, I'm sure he is going to have no problem just continuing to be in the cornerback discussion, but a guy that has the versatility to play corner, safety, nickel. He's a guy that, it'd be interesting how they're going to use him at the NFL level. But he is a guy, based on the tape I saw, that I would have comfortable putting him on the outside, played high-level football. He's kind of the consensus number 3 corner, but he's got to keep an eye on for the Detroit Lions. And another Iowa player who played with Jack Campbell. So kind of like the Lions drafting Kool-Aid, they kind of have that connection with Alabama players, Jahmyr Gibbs, Brian Branch. If they draft Cooper DeJean, they kind of have that Iowa connection like last year when they drafted Jack Campbell. So, and Sam Laporta too. So, if they go, so Kool-Aid, Cooper DeJean, both make sense from obviously a need perspective, and also they have players on their roster that played with those guys, and they also kind of have that connection as well. Some other guy, the safety position, pretty strong for the Lions. They should be good there. Wide receiver, to me, Ladd McConkey seems like a really good fit for the Lions. Ladd McConkey's a guy that, didn't get a lot of praise, notoriety, a lot of talk for Georgia these past couple years. But if you watch, Ladd McConkey's got a really strong skill set. He seems like a Dan Campbell fit, just a gritty, tough receiver who's better after the catch than most people give him credit for. Better speed than I think most people give him credit for. I think he'll be a guy like, kind of reminds me of Hunter Renfrow a little bit. I think actually could be probably a better player long-term in the NFL. But he reminds me of Hunter Renfrow, just from a guy who was probably, both guys that helped their teams win a national championship, weren't probably the most praised on the team, but if you look, they made a huge, if you look back, they made a huge impact from the various different things they did for their team. So reminds me of Hunter Renfrow. And then also they're similar in the sense that I think they'll run similar times at the combine. Like, I think, I don't think you'll see like a 4.3 time for Vlad McConkey, but don't be surprised if you see like a 4.48, 4.49, maybe 4.5 flat, a really good solid time from him. But yeah, Vlad McConkey, think he'll be a good fit. The Lions still looking to add some depth at wide receiver, so keep an eye on him. Vlad McConkey, he was number 84 for the Georgia Bulldogs. He's a really good receiver. And then, yeah, honestly, Kool-Aid, Braylon Trice, McConkey, these are all guys, Cooper DeJean, these are all really guys I can really picture the Lions drafting, and I really can see them making an impact. So I guess, Jared Verse too, D-tackle Jerzon Newton out of Illinois might be a fit. Newton, I guess I didn't really follow him closely. I don't think he had as good of a year. He is a D-tackle that is athletic. Might be a guy that could be a good complement to Lane McNeil if they took him. But, yeah. So, Jerzon Newton, Braylon Trice, Kool-Aid McKinstry, Cooper DeJean, just some various guys that, would be, the Lions might think about. Terrion Arnold from Alabama, too. Sometimes, he may be referred to as the other corner from Alabama, but, you don't really want to, you want to give him his due respect. He was not necessarily just the other corner from Alabama. They had two really good corners this year, Arnold and Kool-Aid McKinstry. So those are just a few guys I wanted to throw out for the Lions that could be on their draft board. Odds are they might not even take any of those guys, but I could see, odds are there's a good chance they could take one of those guys.